I stopped by Hello Comics and picked up some really nice books, but I also got to meet one of my fellow comic book content creators. Stay tuned for the details. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and today I've got a short comic book haul for you. Picked up some books from a very good comic book shop that I've visited before down in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I also got to meet one of my fellow comic book content creators from YouTube. It's a channel that I've followed for a while, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But before we begin, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my episodes that I put out each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. All right, all that out of the way, let's talk about going down to Charlottesville, Virginia, and stopping off at Hello Comics. They are formerly known as Telegraph Art and Comics. They changed their name recently. It's funny, the last time I did a video on this store, they had literally changed the name from the time I had visited by the time I'd gotten that video posted. So I hope you get to go back and take a look at that episode. But it was kind of funny. I put it out and it was still, everything was labeled Telegraph and they had already changed. I know they had actually reached out and they said, "Hey, we changed our name." And I was like, yeah, thanks. I'd already taped everything. But really good store. They've got two of them there in Charlottesville. I've never visited the, I guess, downtown shop, but I have definitely went to the uptown shop several times. Very friendly staff. They got a lot of great stuff, a lot of toys, statues, comics, old and new. I've talked about the back issue bins that are really good if you've got some time to dig through them, because you can find some really good gems in there. You just have to dig a little bit, and they've got a lot of comics on the wall as well. And big prices on the wall. I like that. When you see some of these books, you'll see the big price tags on them, and it really helps when you're in a store like that and you can see the price pretty easily, especially with the books on the wall that are up pretty high. You can't even get to them. You have to ask the staff to get them down for you. But love this shop. I love stopping there when I get the chance. But also, what was fun was I got to meet one of my fellow YouTube creators. And this guy I've followed his channel for a long time now. His name is Mike from Wahoo Comics. And it's kind of funny. We had a great time together. And if you guys know anything, we're in Charlottesville, Virginia, and he named his channel Wahoo Comics, and that all leads back to UVA. And big UVA graduate fan. You know, he graduated from there, and I think his wife went there as well. And just, you know, everything's dipped in UVA. He loves that team. In fact, I love UVA. The UVA, if you guys don't know, I'm a big baseball fan, college baseball fan. I'm from Maryland, and we used to have the University of Maryland Terps, used to be in the ACC conference, and we used to see Virginia all the time, and we got to see all these great schools in the ACC. But they left and went to the Big Ten, and it's not quite the same quality. So I spent a lot of time going down to Charlottesville over the last few years, going down to UVA baseball games. So I'm quite a fan. My mom had connections with the school, and that's why sometimes on the channel you'll see me wear some UVA stuff. I wear a hat or I wear the sweatshirt or something. But the interesting thing with Mike and Wahoo Comics is, and he's busted on me on my channel before because you know me, guys. What am I wearing? I'm wearing my UNBC shirt. This right here, this is my daughter's school. She went to school there, and I was a season ticket holder for the men's and women's season basketball teams. And I was there. I didn't get to see the actual game, but I was there for the whole season, watched them on TV when they ended up going to the NCAA tournament and ended up as a 16 seed, the first time they'd ever beat a number one team in that conference. They ended up beating UVA in that opening round game, and it was pretty historic. And I know, you know, Mike sees me wear this UMBC stuff, and I know that puts kind of hurts him a little bit. But what's good about that story is that UVA turned it around a year later. They used that as motivation, losing like that. And they ended up coming back and winning the whole thing the following year. So it was a complete story. UMBC got their moment, and then UVA definitely got their moment with that championship. So getting to meet him was really cool. He met me there at the store at Hello Comics. And this is their uptown location. And he met me at the store. He didn't have a lot of time, but we got to spend some time in the store. And what was interesting was we didn't really talk comics quite as much, although we did walk around the store and we looked at a lot of the keys on the walls and we talked about them a little bit. But more interesting was the fact that we could sit down and talk about our approaches to the channel. Now, one of the reasons that I have always liked his channel was he's very much like me. There's a lot of us guys out there like that, and we're just fans of comics. And while we may talk about prospecting on certain comics and values and things like that, it definitely, his channel, my channel, we come from this from a place of love. We love these comics. We love these stories. I don't think we really just buy comics to speculate on and then turn around for money, although that's definitely in the mix. I mean, there's always that in the background. I mean, we kind of think about these when we buy books on condition. Otherwise, who cares what book you buy if you're just going to read it, right? We buy on condition a lot of times, and we try to get the best conditions because we try to have value in our collections. But he comes at this from a very similar approach, and if you watch his channel, and I encourage you guys to reach out to his channel, Wahoo Comics, I'll leave a link down in the description. His channel is very much like me. He talks about the value of the comics, and just a great guy. It was fun. It was talking about some of the techniques that we use on the show, some of our approaches and all that. And what was really nice was he actually had a little extra time when we finished up at the store, and I'll go over some of the comics that I picked up in a second. But we ended up going down to the other reason I love going by Charlottesville. They have a Raising Cane's there, the chicken finger store. Man, I tell you, this place is great. I love this. And the best thing is they are literally building one here in Columbia, Maryland that's not more than a minute from the house. I mean, not almost walkable distance, but it's right nearby. So maybe I won't be down in Charlottesville quite as much because that is at the time was the closest one to the house. Now I'm going to have one, like I said, a minute from the house. I mean, it's kind of crazy that they're putting one right there. They're good stuff, guys. If you've never had Raising Cane's, I definitely encourage you to go there. Just don't ask for fish. It's chicken fingers, guys. You got chicken fingers, fries, Texas toast, and slaw. Okay, that's it. Definitely get your sweet tea, your lemonade. It's a really good place. So anyway, enough plugging. I'm not even getting paid for this. What's going on? Well, I'm plugging things and I'm not getting paid. But great guy to meet. Mike, thanks. If you get a chance to see the channel, thanks. I appreciate you stopping by, and I'll let you know the next time I'm down in the area, and hopefully we'll get together again and talk. We'll talk more YouTube stuff. We'll talk more comics and everything. Okay, so the reason we're here today is actually to talk about the comics that I picked up. We are always here about the comics, guys, and I didn't end up getting a lot of comics. I got one that I kind of wanted in PC. It has some speculation value on it. The others are just decent pickups. Actually, I do enjoy reading comics from time to time, and so picked up some other comics here. But let's just go through them, and I'll show you what I ended up picking up. And before I start, one of the things I wanted to mention about Hello Comics is that they do every Friday they do I think it's Fresh Friday, where they end up putting some really big keys out. Well, I shouldn't say just big keys. Key comics, more desirable comics, I guess. It can be big things. I've seen them put out the Giant Size X-Men 1, Hulk 181, Spider-Man 129 one weekend. It got me to go to the shop, but I just couldn't get there in time to end up picking up anything like that. But they have other things that are just lesser keys, and I think they do it every Friday. Now, I can't get down there on Fridays. I'm up here in Maryland, and I'm working. So I can only go down there probably about once a month on my trips down to West Virginia. I can swing by UVA on the way back home and stop off. So I'm usually a little late on that. But what they do is they have these special books off to the side in the corner by the front desk where they may still have some things left over. They got several boxes for you to go through. They got some good values on some things. And they have a little wall unit there that's got some big keys. I keep saying big keys. That implies other things. But key comics that are out, special deals, things like that are still there. So I get a chance to go through, and I took a look at the books. And let's just show you what I ended up picking up. Nothing. There's only one here that's got any significant value. And I honestly, I'm not even going to give you 9.8 values or anything on this video right here. These are just fun books, and yeah, it's not going to, like I said, it's not a big prospecting video, but just good books. So we ended up picking up, this is Black Widow #1. This right here, it's when I looked it up, it took me a little while to look it up on Go Collect. It's actually Black Widow #1, Pale Little Spider, and I'd never had this, but it's not a lot of value. It's a $3 comic book, guys, but got some beautiful Greg Horn artwork right there, and so I look forward to reading that. Now, this one actually had some spec value over the last year. I think it's coming back down in value. We'll probably see it spike up again, but pick this up for $1. This is Wonder Man #1. And, of course, we know, who knows how the speculation on the MCU is going to go these days. I don't know if there's any spike on anything or if it's when there's news about a show coming around. I don't know. I feel like it's all starting to level out and people aren't going quite as nuts on things. But we'll see what they do with this in the MCU. With their recent track history, my thought is that they're going to F it up. They're not going to do it right. At worst, it's going to be like She-Hulk on that show where they turned a lot of really decent villains, B-list villains, but they turned a lot of them into just jokes. And, I hate that stuff, guys. And I literally just said, my wife's going to bust on me as a communications major for saying because you know what? You don't know. So sorry about that, Lisa. That's for you. So anyway, we'll see if there's any pop on this at all. I've had several copies of this. I don't think I've gotten any of these graded, though. So kind of slowed down on my regular grading. I've been grading a lot, getting a lot of books sent in for signature series signings, but I haven't been doing a lot of, I don't think I've actually done one just a straight up CGC order this year that wasn't just for signature series. Anyway, I digress once again. I had never seen this, but this is from 2007. It's Captain Carrot. And what is it? The Final Arc. And I've never read that, but I grew up in the 80s reading Captain Carrot, and just some fun stuff, guys. That's some good stuff. Sort of like Peter Porker. It's got that same fun quality. And I picked up the latest issue of this. Now, when you get this is going to be several weeks old. By this point, I've already been to Heroes Con, and then when I stopped in the store, it was probably about a couple weeks before that. So this was the haul from probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago at this point. So comics are kind of piling up for these comic book hauls, and I'll give you a warning, guys, that probably the next 3 to 4 videos, we're going to be talking about, it'll be comic book hauls, but I can guarantee after this right here, there's going to be some big keys that we're going to go over that I've added to the PC. Some of them, going to be some speculation. I'll be able to give you some more price values on a lot of that, especially if we get them into CGC. I'll give you those values because they have some really big books that have been coming in over the last few weeks from various locations. This was not one of them, even though we did find some keys on the wall, Mike and I did, but we also were looking at the conditions on some of the books and everything. So that's why this is just a small haul. It was more about meeting him that day than it was to go and speculate and look for comics. But this right here, I picked up, that was the latest issue. The reason I got on that rant was this had just come out. This is Ambassadors #6, the last issue of the miniseries from Mark, is it Millar or Miller? How do you pronounce it? I've always said it was Millar with the way he spells the last name, but I'm not sure. I know he's English. Maybe it does just come out as Miller, even with an A. Let me know how to pronounce that, guys. But this was a great series. I didn't like that every issue had a different artist. I would have liked to have stuck with one artist and gone from there. It was a little jarring, the style in each issue, but it was just a great series. If you get a chance to read this, read The Ambassadors. And then the last book. This is the book that actually has some value when you get it graded. Again, I didn't do the research enough to tell you what this is, but it's a book that I know well enough that I wanted to get into the PC, and I've seen the prices go from about this price up to a lot more. And let me just show you. It is the Hulk series #16. This is the first appearance of the Red She-Hulk. And if I'm not wrong, it wasn't this. This was Betty Ross, right? It was General Ross's daughter. Who, of course, General Ross was the Red Hulk. And beautiful artwork here. And like I said, there's always been speculation on this book as the first appearance and everything. And I've seen that book again just be overpriced a lot, and this one I ended up paying $24.99 for it. honestly, it's a little bit more than I would have liked, but it's one of the cheaper copies that I've found recently, and needs a little bit of spine work over here, nothing too bad, but with that white, and it's not no color breaks and everything, but it does need a nice clean press. But that was the comic book haul from Hello Comics, and I was real happy with that. Again, some really good books up on the wall, and if I hadn't been sitting there talking the whole time, I probably would have just dug into the bins a little bit more and looked for a few more things. But guys, give Hello Comics a stop the next time you're in Charlottesville, Virginia. And if you get a chance, stop by the other store, I guess the downtown location. Check them out and let me know how that goes, because I usually don't have enough time to go to both locations, and I know that the uptown location has mostly of the older comics that I'm interested in. I suspect the downtown one focuses more on new comics and probably graphic novels and probably some toys and things like that. But great shop. Give those guys a try the next time you're in the area. And that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this comic book haul. It's a lot of fun books, more for reading, except for this one. I'm still going to read it, though. And I hope you enjoyed that and get some value out of this. I don't know if you guys have had any of these books, but let me know in the comments section below what you think of the books that I picked up from Hello Comics. And if you're ever interested in any of the books that I show off on my channel, definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on my Instagram account. But if you also want to, just check out my eBay store and my Shortbox page for all the slabs and all the comics that I have for sale currently. That's probably the easiest way, and if you're ever interested in doing a bundle deal or anything like that, just reach out to me again at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on Instagram. I keep saying that. I'm definitely in marketing because I repeat myself, but just reach out to me and we can work out a deal, I'm sure. But that's it. Mike, take care. I'll see you the next time in Charlottesville. And guys, I will see you for the next show. Again, we'll probably be doing another comic book haul. But until then, take care and remember, every comic has a story.